think I'm looking for a new home in a way.
Okay.
I love my family back home. I love my friends back home in the UK, but it's not for me anymore.
Welcome to El Cafecito Travel Talks with Tony Lloyd. Each episode, Tony sits down with travelers, expats, creatives, and community voices from across Latin America and beyond, sharing stories of travel, culture, connection, and the journeys that shape us. So grab a cafecito or a tea and enjoy the conversation.
Thank you for joining me and having a tea with me this afternoon. Just want to introduce yourself a little bit.
So I'm Dan. Been traveling South America almost a year now.
Oh, okay, for quite a while.
Yeah, 3 months in Panama, 6 months in Colombia, and I've just extended my visa for here. So it's probably going to be about 4 or 5 months in Ecuador.
Okay. And then what were you doing before you decided to come out and travel?
So I've always loved traveling. So ever since I was 18, I've traveled. But then, life gets in the way, work. And so I was doing property management in central London. You ask for time off, and even though it's your time, they tell you you can only use it in blocks of 1 week or 2 weeks, not a whole month. And I wanted to travel. They said no, so I quit my job. Got another job working in a hotel for 6 months, and then left traveling.
And how long have you been working in property management?
For about 3-4 years.
Okay.
Other jobs before that, tour guide in London and all these different things. But this trip for me is not just travel. It's kind of like, where do I want to move to as well? So it's kind of me experiencing proper culture as well. Not just traveling, 1 or 2 days here and there. It's spending, as you can see, spending quite a bit of time in each country.
Okay. And you're an average age, what's your there?
In my 30s, yeah.
You're in your 30s, okay, we'll say it that way. It's interesting, we were just talking just before I turned on the microphone, and you were telling me that you were listening to the podcast, and then you said, similar, I listened to the story similar to mine, and I'm curious, which one was that?
The meeting someone abroad.
Okay, so I think it's called Finding Your Wife.
Yeah.
So you've come to Latin America to find your wife?
No, not at all. I came to Latin America to experience the culture. I was in Central America and I loved the vibe.
Okay.
And then, I've always wanted to do the Americas. Life gets in the way, and then I kind of just said, right, I've got to start doing it. Okay. So this big trip, before I left, I planned 8-9 different countries. A month or 2 in each country, and then that all went out the window really. Firstly 3 months in Panama, that was just liked Panama a lot. Then said to myself, I need to keep moving, and then Colombia caught me. I was traveling a bit in Colombia. I traveled the coast, went down to Cali for Christmas, New Year, and then I went to Salento, and I met a girl. And ended up, it's a longer story.
Well, we have time.
I met
we have our tea and we have some time.
I met a girl in a cafe, worked there, family cafe, just got to know her and her family. Mm-hmm. Ended up staying in Salento for 4 months. At the same time as that, I was in the forest, in the bosque around Salento, and I found a puppy in the forest that was starving.
Okay.
So that linked with meeting that girl. It happened quite fast.
What happened? Tell us a little bit more. We want details.
The
whole idea of
we got on really well. And I didn't. There was my traveling plans were just like where I want to go, what I want to do is what I want to do. There was no I need to be here at this time or anything like that. So I stayed a bit longer. Went back to the cafe, started meeting the family, and kind of started being integrated into the family, and got invited to live with the family.
So was this something that you were hoping to be long-term? Did you see it going towards that direction?
So this is where I look back and I realise that it wasn't all it seemed.
Okay.
I love Colombian people. Mm-hmm. There is an undercurrent of culture in Colombia which is very much about money. Mm-hmm. And I realised now, not then, because, I was enamored. I was, absolutely loved this family, loved this girl. But I realize now that it was more what I could provide as opposed to me.
Okay, understand.
Which, it's been a struggle. The hardest part has been having to leave my little puppy behind, which I cared for being starving, got her vaccinations, for me, that's the hardest part. Obviously, it's been difficult moving away from the family, but realizing actually the reality of what it was kind of allows yourself to move on, actually.
What's interesting is that in the episode that I did, Finding Your Wife Abroad, the gentleman, he's 74 years old.
Yeah.
You're half his age.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I think I fell head over heels. Again, I think there was a form of manipulation as well. And it's this family. It was not all Colombian families. I met some amazing, I met some other girls out in Colombia as well.
Mm-hmm.
Met families and they were wonderful. But I think I was led to believe that a future with them in a way, which, is heartbreaking because I think from my perspective, I was just giving nothing but love because this is what I saw. And I think it was a different viewpoint from the other perspective, which obviously, is heartbreaking for me, but it's also, it teaches you a lot.
And how would why Colombia, why Latin America? Why not an English girl, somebody from London, where you're from?
Yeah, there was no plan. There was no I want to meet a Latin American girl. It just happened.
It's just a Latin bug.
It got me.
It got you.
I just love the Latin American vibe towards life. It's kind of an attitude of life is short, so enjoy it as much as you can. And just music, the food, nature, everything about Latin America just hits me kind of quite in my heart quite well.
Okay. It's been said before that when we travel and we're travelers, we're looking for something. And we're on a hunt for something. What do you think you're looking for? Or do you know what you're looking for?
I think I'm looking for a new home in a way.
Okay.
I love my family back home. I love my friends back home in the UK, but it's not for me anymore.
And how do you see that new home? What are some of the things that you're thinking, give me about 3 or 4 things that you would like to see in that new home. How would it look? Or the new...
In a really easy way, Cuenca feels like that place.
Okay.
This kind of... This is quite a big city. It's not, a huge city like Quito or somewhere like that. It's the vibe here. There's a calmness, a kindness.
Okay.
That's something I do like about Latin American culture. People are nice. People are kind. Obviously you go into cities, go to any city, people become the city, if you know what I mean. People are not as friendly, but that's just because that's what it's like to live in a city. Smaller towns, places like that, people are warm and welcoming. There's something special about here. And I've already had the thought of I could live here. But I also know I also have to continue with my travels. Because as you can probably tell, I very easily get stuck somewhere. I get very comfortable with the people I meet and, the people here are wonderful.
What I usually recommend to people, I always say, do your whole journey. If you come to do South America, do all of it, and then you'll decide.
Yes.
Because there's so many times where you're staying in one place, I really love this is it. And then you go on, then you have another experience and another experience and so forth. What's happening? What's your opinion of what's happening right now? Or maybe it happened years ago, the same thing, of why we see more and more people looking to go out of, it could be Europe or North America, to come to look for this new place. What do you think is happening?
I mean, you've got the political aspects that a lot of people go on about. I've lived in London my whole life and I have seen a massive change, but I've lived in London, so I've always had neighbours of different ethnicities and everything, so it's not really an issue for me. The biggest one, I think, is probably financial. And also just I think we're fed this, we're always told, that you have to, family expectations, for example. You have to settle down, you have to own a house, have a family, have kids. And I'd like that at some point, but I look at somewhere like London and I'm like, could I afford that? And I think Europe and North America I just think life is just, it's not what people make it out to be. A lot of people, countries like here, for example, they look at somewhere like the UK and Europe and think, or the US and think, oh, it'd be incredible to live in a country like that, how good they have it. And yes, we do have it good. I mean, UK, Europe, we have, free healthcare if you pay by taxes or something like that. We do have it well. We have very good education. Life is expensive.
You're not having the $2.50 lunches.
Exactly.
Yeah.
How is someone meant to have a family or even just live? You need a top performing job or something like that. I know in the UK, utility bills have like doubled, tripled. Water has gone up. The water bills have gone up 60% in London. For what reason? And I think, a lot of people like myself, we look at this and we'll be like, why? And people you can very easily get stuck. Most people, the majority of people never leave their towns or villages or homes. They spend their entire lives there. And then there's some of us that are like, but the world is bigger than that. And it is, and it's beautiful. And there's so many different places and cultures that you can experience. I've always said I think I was born in the wrong century.
Not the wrong body.
No. 2026.
Okay.
No, like the wrong century. I'd love to have, one of those explorers or something like that, But the world's very much quite explored.
And do you have, for a lot of us who live abroad, we have these friends who say, oh, I wish I could do it. Could you think of a friend that you have in mind that's like that?
Yeah.
That maybe not that particular person, but somebody like that person might be listening to us.
So many people. I mean, my brother is getting married soon. He's just bought a house with his fiancée, so they'll be settling down. They couldn't do this now. Actually, I got two friends who...
Let's call him John and give us a little breakdown of John.
Or Jack and Jill,
Jack and Jill,
they're but very, very good jobs. But they've just bought a place, so they have to pay the mortgage. And I think it's always that attitude, isn't it? Because I remember, my family, for example, my mum and my dad, oh, you should buy a place, and then you can rent it out or whatever, and you can still travel. But you still got to pay the mortgages and pay this. And you start to realise, I think when you step back, I had quite a profound moment on the coast, actually, where I kind of, I know it because I read the book, The Tao of Pooh, about Taoism, but just about living in the present. There is a more psychological thing towards it, not just from Taoism. I'm not religious, I'm not spiritual or anything like that. But then when you get to the point when you look, you step out of it all and you start to realise, do you know what? The whole system is fixed in a way. You buy a house, then you're stuck. You have to pay the mortgage. You have to get a secure job. And then you become part of that system. And I started to realise I don't want that. Yes, I'd like to settle down at some point. If I meet someone, I thought that had happened, in Colombia. But then I just had to move on. But yeah, I don't want to be part of that system. Okay. You're stuck. I don't know if they would. That's the problem. Okay. I think they're...
This podcast is not to convince people to do anything, but there's a lot of people out there, because you know yourself that before you made the leap, there was a period of time where you were questioning yourself, should I do it or should I not do it? So let's talk to those Jack and Jills. What would you say to them? You
can do it. You don't have to stay stuck in a way.
But how? What should be one of their first steps that you think they should be taking?
Find a remote job.
Okay, finding a remote.
That's something I still need to do. I mean, unfortunately, I do have to go back to the UK and I do need to go back to work. Mm-hmm. But I already know myself, I'm going to work for 6 months to a year and then I'm coming back out. And hopefully this time finish my travels. And then maybe come back to Cuenca. Definitely come back to Cuenca.
Okay.
But we'll see. But yeah, just those people, you don't have to be tied down. It's different if you have a family or you want to start a family. But if you don't, then yeah, just explore the world. See what's out there. There's so much out there. There's so many opportunities. There's so much to life than just your 9-to-5 job or, having to go back home and do this, or there is so much more to life.
But you just said it's different if you have a family. Again, one of the things that we tend to do is we become our own blockage. Yeah. We're the ones that stop ourselves, and we come up with these 1,001 excuses. And so what I would hope that this podcast would do, again, not to preach to anyone who is not thinking about it, but the people who are thinking about it, to let them realize that they could bring down that brick wall. They could take it apart piece by piece and have an experience like you're having. Maybe not get your heart broken, but the other parts of it.
But you know what? I don't regret any moment.
Okay.
I don't think everything in life is education. It's learning, and I gave all my love, and I'm never going to regret that. But the travelling wise, 100%. I think kind of what you said as well. I think we become our own worst enemy. We always come up with a reason of why we can't. Oh, because the cat needs a new this, or because this, or because this. But actually, sometimes you just got to go, do you know what? Go for it. And when you do, it normally is the best thing you've ever done. I think, I'm the same. I've met a lot of families who have travelled, or couples that have just quit their jobs and gone travelling, or something like that. For me, travelling is the best experience. I don't spend my money on expensive clothes, on jewellery, on cars, anything like that. For me, it's experiencing different cultures, different countries, different, even just, for example, in Ecuador, just the nature here. The UK is beautiful nature, but there's so much out there, so many different experiences. And the biggest one for me is, I love wildlife, I love nature, I love these experiences, the waterfalls in Baños around here, the national parks, all these experiences. But for me, it is genuinely, I love meeting different people, from different cultures. That for me is travelling. And I think that's why I spend a long time in each place, because I just love to understand and experience the culture. And I think if I had travelled like I planned and just done a month or two in each country, I'm saying that I'm the most fluent person in Spanish, but because of me spending 6 months in Colombia, 3 months here, 3 months in Panama, I can speak Spanish. And not the basic asking where the bathroom is or something. I can go out on a date and I can have a proper conversation and chat. And I think that is because I've spent time kind of settled in each place, as opposed to... Yeah, absolutely. If I was going to travel like before, I would have stayed in hostels. I would have met everyone, we're all speaking English. But because I've been kind of settled and just only speaking with local people, this is the first hostel I've stayed in for months and months and months. So everyone's got their different kind of things they want to do. Lots of people just want to travel and do they want to tick off everything. They want to see every spot, do every hike, and that's amazing. But I know that's not me.
Okay.
I know for me it is a cultural immersion.
Give me one of those days where you met a stranger, and maybe it was only for like a couple of minutes or something, but you're like, I will never forget this person as long as I live.
There's been plenty of people like that. Sitting on buses, chatting to abuelas, them telling me about their lives and all this. But actually, there is one here in Ecuador. There was at the hostel I was staying in. It was just me in the hostel down in Alon. The manager there, who actually left and just let me stay there, which was quite nice.
Okay.
His life was running that place, going to the beach, surfing, just chilled, relaxing life. And we sat and we just chatted about kind of what we've been talking about our lives. He was in his 40s. And I'll never forget just the chatting with him, I guess. Just, sitting in the hammock, having a chat with him whilst he's cooking or I'm cooking, sharing a bottle of wine. We head down to the beach. Next day he's off to go and pick up his son from, I can't remember what city. And then his partner comes along the next day. And it was just, that was I had a month there of a month and a bit, of just literally doing nothing in Alon, going to the beach, swimming, healthy eating, apart from the wine I had every day. And I kind of, that was part of my kind of living in the present that got me into this kind of, where I am kind of psychologically. And I'd kind of disconnected from everything and everyone. except for him and his partner who came along and had chats with them. And you then start to realise, okay, I need to get back to reality. But actually, yeah, he was kind of chatting with him for a month and a half every day. It was, just realise he's similar to my experience. Obviously, he was, he worked and it was different, but it was an attitude of life doesn't have to be this grind. You can just enjoy it in a way. Yeah, definitely.
Is there anything you were missing from home?
Family and friends.
Okay.
Yeah.
And would you imagine them coming with you in something like this, or do you think?
Oh, I'd love it. Yeah.
Okay.
My mum's in her 70s and my dad's 80. They are travellers anyway. I mean, they were before they had me and my brother. They've always, I think that's where I've got my attitude towards life of not, spending money on travel. They'd always be on holiday. Now it's getting a bit harder. My mum's also not well at the moment, so they can't go away. Dad's in his 80s, so it's different now. But they've always, 5, 6, 7 times a year they'll do little, holidays or weekends away, and they just enjoy life. And it's about experiences for them. And I'd love to travel with them, because they are in their 70s and 80s, they are the tough people that will go and sit on a table, and my mum will spark up a conversation with people in their 20s or in their 30s. I think that's where I've got kind of maybe my personality from as well. Okay. Although she's definitely better than me. I think half the time I'll be like, I don't know. My mum will just walk up to a table and just start chatting with people.
She's got nothing to do.
She does not care.
Okay. How many more months did you say you will go before you return back?
I mean, probably a month or two.
A month or two.
Yeah, and then I'll head back. I mean, again, I probably should carry on and go and do Peru. But no, I like it here. And again, I'm just experiencing the culture, meeting people. I was out on Friday. I walked down the street, met 2 doctors. Mm-hmm. Just were chatting, and then we went out. We went out for drinks, but and had a great night just with random people. And I love just meeting different people and different cultures. Yeah, it doesn't have to be drinking all the time. Obviously, it's even just going into the market that I was just in. Just chatting with the ladies that are at the stalls cooking. And most people are quite polite or reserved, but the moment that you kind of push yourself to be the person to open conversations, mm-hmm. most people want to chat. Most people want to have conversations. I just think most people are quite reserved or protective. And I think if you come across, and that's kind of my intention, is I am who I am. I don't pretend to be anything. And I will just chat or smile, and I am just open. And I think if you are like that with people, it's like, if you give into the world what you want to receive type attitude. And that's kind of how I go through life now.
I get it. And just taking it one step at a time.
Yeah.
Okay, well, is there something that you're looking forward to when you go back home?
My mum's cooking.
What's your favourite dish when your mother's cooking?
A nice curry.
Okay.
Being from London and growing up with, Indian neighbours, Pakistani neighbours, I mean, I have the most incredible curries. So definitely a nice...
But your mother cooks curry?
Oh, yeah. I mean...
Okay. Okay.
Oh, yeah. She's an incredible cook. So one of her curries, and then I think some salt beef. It's like brisket.
Okay.
But yeah, having a bit of home. That's what I love about a lot of the food in South America, is it feels very homely food. But yeah, there's something special about having your mum's cooking. I'm looking forward to that.
Okay, well, take care. And
thank you.
Buen provecho, as we say here in Latin America.
Gracias.
When you get home and having your mother's curry.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining us for this episode of El Cafecito Travel Talks with Tony Lloyd. If you'd like to learn more about today's guest, check the podcast notes for links and information related to this episode. And if you have questions, stories, or topics you'd love us to explore in future episodes, feel free to reach out. Tony also helps independent travelers plan meaningful journeys throughout Central and South America, including cultural and community-based experiences. And if you'd like to support the podcast and help keep these conversations going, you'll find a contribution link in the podcast notes. Until next time, thank you for sharing a cafecito or tea with us, and safe travels wherever your journey may take you.